Hi. Life is hard. And because of that, it's important that we do things to relax. Like reading a book. Or washing a cat. But you might be wondering, Meegle, you play video games all the time. Why don't you ever play a video game to relax? That's why. People sure hate it when things are difficult. That's why we have so many things that make life easier for us, like calculators or divorce lawyers. But some things just can't be made easier, and when that happens, you just gotta tough it out. Or give up. Video game difficulty has been a hot topic for decades. Back in the days of arcades, games sorta needed to be difficult in order to trick unsuspecting customers into shelling out more quarters. And when home consoles came into the picture, that same mentality was carried forward. I hate to be the one to tell you this, but video games cost money. And it's easy to feel like that money was wasted if you spent it on a game that took you like 20 minutes to beat. So how do we artificially increase the length of our game? Make it so you can't beat it! Games like Mega Man or Ninja Gaiden are absolutely infamous for how unforgiving they are. They'll make you try, die, lose all your continues, piss on your grave, and have to start all the way back from the beginning. I'm all for games having some difficulty, but I prefer when it's fair and not a bunch of bullshit! Jumping into the next two generations, with games being longer in length by default and many having a deeper focus on story, developers didn't feel the need to make games so difficult anymore. Games like Super Metroid, Metal Gear Solid, Ocarina of Time, they all had a great balance between difficulty and length, so you didn't feel like you needed to keep your therapist on standby while you played. Doesn't mean there weren't some notoriously hard games though. Anyone in the mood for Crash Bandicoot 1? I wouldn't even know where to begin with this. The games that were known for being hard during this era felt like they had mastered the art of making difficulty be fun. Games like Crash Bandicoot, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and even obscure games like Nightmare Creatures all felt like they were difficult, but never unfair. It felt like the fun in them came from overcoming the challenge they offered. And moving into the 6th gen, things mostly followed the same formula. You had tough as nails action games like God of War or Ninja Gaiden, and even game genres that weren't exactly popular for their difficulty, like platformers and rhythm games having options for those looking for a challenge. A genre that I think absolutely nailed difficulty in this era was strategy games. Games like Knights of the Old Republic and Fire Emblem Path of Radiance offered a great challenge that it felt like it was left up to the player to overcome. They didn't hold your hand, but they also didn't beat the shit out of you and take your lunch money. So things were looking up for tough video games. But then, in the 7th generation, it happened. This game is where the conversation around difficulty really starts to get heated. Developed by FromSoft and released for the PlayStation 3, Demon's Souls was the first game in the ever so popular Souls-like genre. Now, what sets Souls-likes apart from other RPGs? Demon's Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and Elden Ring are the pioneers of the Souls-like genre, and each one is a big reason why so many people absolutely loathe discussing difficulty in video games. You see, these games follow the same philosophy as the games released during the 5th and 6th generation, and offer a challenge that can only be overcome by the player's own skill. And that's all well and good, but the difference is games released during that era were fair, whereas Souls-like games are not. Look, I love these games to death, particularly Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, and Elden Ring, but let's be honest here. These games are straight up bullshit sometimes. But that's not where the discussion on their difficulty ends. It's the fact that these games offer nothing in the way of options for people having a hard time. Their philosophy is to kick the player's ass, spit on their face, piss in their cereal, then tell them tough break when they die and lose hours of progress. And the issue many have with this is that plenty of other hard games do have difficulty options, like Ninja Gaiden for example. So what's the excuse for Souls games to not have that option? On the other hand, ask any Souls fan if they think this game should have difficulty options, and see if they don't pop a blood vessel from seething so hard. For some reason, hardcore fans of these games feel like the mere idea of easier difficulty options is a sin worthy of the execution of the person who brought it up. I've thought about it from both points of view, and I've tried to understand the side that's against difficulty options. So is there a valid reason for these games to not have difficulty options? Let's spin the wheel! Well, that answers that. I'm just saying, I'll never understand difficulty purists, especially when 99% of games include a difficulty option. Maybe beating Souls games gives you a superiority complex or something, but to all Souls fans out there, get this. The option to lower the difficulty is optional? I know, I couldn't believe it either. The point is that difficult games have existed since the very beginning, for one reason or another. But the second game developers realized they didn't need to make their games unbearably hard for consumers to feel justified in their purchase, they stopped making them so difficult. And given how many games have difficulty settings or modifiers, if you still want a challenging experience, you can tailor the challenge to be exactly how you want it to be. Was my point with this discussion to say that games being difficult is a bad thing? Not at all. My point is that difficulty is and always has been a hot topic in this community. And I think that having options is the best solution for it. Video games are a wonderfully diverse medium, and while I appreciate a challenging experience from time to time, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting a game to be a little less challenging. After all, sometimes we just want something to relax with. Like me, for example. After that discussion, I could sure go for a relaxing video game, but which one do I pick? Well, this one does have Pinocchio.